Pleasant good evening to everyone. My name is Rennie Wilson, and I would be chairing this evening proceedings. Welcome to the Grenada Football Association. Good evening. No, come on, we have to do better than that. We're here for a very exciting presentation, and that is the response. Good evening. Exactly, that's a bit better. So like I said, welcome to the Grenada Football Association Club Subvention Distribution, the first phase. And it's a very exciting event for everyone here. Exciting to the GFA to be able to provide the much needed support to the clubs. And we're very sure that it's exciting for you, the clubs, to be able to receive the support to be able to provide for all the expenses and to support your respective operations within the clubs. At this moment, I'd like to recognize our President, Mr. Marlon Glean, our General Secretary, Mr. Carly, our Technical Director, Mr. Alistair Fleming, Board of Directors, staff, and of course to our online viewers, welcome. At this moment, I'd invite Mr. Randy Campbell, Chairperson of the Referees Committee, to lead us in a word of prayer before we officially go into today's proceedings. Mr. Campbell?
We pray, God, that as we gather here to this function where clubs will be receiving support from the FA, we pray, God, that whatever funds that they receive would be used for the development of their clubs, oh God, and at the end of the day, you will get all the honor and glory. We thank you for those who are not here, that they will join us soon, and we just pray, oh God, for the organization in a special way this evening, oh God. Guide us and protect us during this function this evening, oh God, and help us in everything we do and say. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Campbell. So we go right into the proceedings. Like I said before, we would now call on our President, Mr. Marlon Glean, to give some remarks before we have the distribution of the checks. Mr. Glean.
Thank you, Renee. Good afternoon. We've gathered here today to kind of prepare for the upcoming season. In this climate in Grenada today, it's very difficult for clubs to sustain themselves. And we've had all these conversations in the past about how do we get clubs to operate at their maximum? How do we get clubs to perform at a level better than they've ever done before? And we know one of the biggest challenges is financial support. And we've had discussions over the last couple of years. So last year, we restarted the club support program. And every club got $10,000 in cash and a uniform. But we felt that that was not enough. So we went back, we had discussions with you. You know, we've been traveling around the country over and over and over and having discussions with you about some of the challenges you're having, about operating in such a difficult times with no sponsors, etc. I think you can count on one hand the number of clubs that have sponsors. And sometimes I hear the comments that clubs are not doing enough, and maybe so. But I also understand that Corporate Grenada has not been forthcoming when it comes to support for sports, not just for football, because we see it in other disciplines, in track and field, in cricket, basketball, table tennis. We've seen the lack of support from Corporate Grenada for sports. And we cannot continue to blame clubs. We need stronger clubs. We need stronger communities. So I challenge you not just to have teams that participate yearly in competition in Grenada. Build your club. Have proper club structure. And when you have a very organized unit, it's easier to go have a conversation with government, with sponsors, etc., and get the kind of support that you need. Because when you build your club, in fact, and in actuality, you're building your community. Every club here picks up a particular space in Grenada. And every club here represents some part of Grenada. And if we pull all the clubs together, we have one country. And if every club is doing their little bits within their community, combine that with all 36 clubs, with all 36 areas in Grenada, we should have a better country. We should have better youth. We should have better development, not just in football and sports, but holistic development. So that when these kids grow up out of your communities, then there is less threat to your community. There is less threat to the country. So the onus is on us to make sure we have strong structures. The onus is on us to make sure that we have strong communities. Because stronger clubs and stronger communities give us a stronger country. Not just on the pitch, but generally. So clubs, I'm begging you to reform yourselves, reorganize yourselves, restructure yourselves. We have too many teams and not enough clubs within our structure. I keep giving the story of a few instances over the last couple of years. I had the opportunity to sit in Monjalu's award ceremony. And when you sat there, you realize that there's a proper club structure in place. And we see it in a few other clubs around the country. How do we get 36 proper functioning clubs in Grenada? And while you're at it with the football, then you branch out into your track and field and your netball and your cricket and your basketball. Because that's how it was done before. A lot of our leaders in Grenada today, your doctors, your lawyers, or whoever they are, would tell you that in the 50s and 60s, they came from proper community clubs. And from these proper community clubs came proper human beings. So corporate Grenada is not throwing any support to sports anymore. It's a thing of the past. It's ridiculous. It's sad. But that's just the reality we're living in. So we cannot just sit there and wait and beg and nothing happens. So what we've done this year, we've committed over $700,000 in cash to provide support to our clubs. It's over $700,000 in cash that will go to you, the clubs. Every club in the GFA is going to get $20,000. You're going to get $10,000 today, and then you're going to get another $10,000 midway through the season. These funds are for you to continue to develop your clubs. These funds are for you to continue to develop the young people in your clubs. These funds are to help develop your communities. Crime is on the rise in Grenada, and there are specific pockets around Grenada where it's even worse than the average. with the injection of the funds we're going to provide, the equipment we're going to provide, the onus is on you to go into your communities. And when you go into your communities, let's try to bring all our young people on board, boys and girls. Because football is not a male sport. Football is a sport that's played by both boys and girls. And too many times, our teams and our clubs tend to focus so much on winning the Premier League, the men's Premier League. And not enough attention is played on the female side of the game. And while we may try to focus on our boys, our girls and ladies are also in trouble. And they cannot be left behind. In Grenada today, not everyone is going to get the opportunity to go to a bank and get a loan and go study somewhere. But through sport, we can leverage our talent and get opportunities to go on to college, to go on to universities. Just today, two of our young players, Zaid Douglas, E.J. George, signed, well, they didn't sign yet, got scholarship offers to go to college in the U.S. And by the time, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, you may hear of more and more names that will be added to the list. For a lot of young people in Grenada, sports is the only hope to a degree. Not too many families are sitting in Grenada with sufficient funds in their account to pay for a degree. So we have to continue to provide that platform. So the support GFA is providing to you, the clubs, invest it and invest it wisely. Take care of your players. Make sure they have the right equipment. Make sure there's medical supplies to take care of injuries. Make sure that there is refreshment so that you don't see everybody rushing to the pipe or looking for some water during the middle of a game. Take care of your players because your players are the future of this country. Last night I had a meeting with the referees. And one of the complaints is the increase in disrespect, the increase in abuse over the last year or two. And I promised them I was going to speak with you today because you manage the teams. Referees are human beings and they make mistakes, just like you, and your players, and your coaches. And they're going to continue to make mistakes because they're human. But we cannot continue to tear down and beat up on our referees. You know, whatever GFA pays the referees could never be sufficient. So in fact, they're literally doing us a favor, all of us. Because without them, we have no matches. If we continue to beat up on these referees and disrespect the referees, we will have no football. So we must find a way to understand that mistakes are going to happen. In this modern day, I don't think any referee is leaving their house and putting on their shoes and socks and clothes and jumping in a car and going up to Grenville or Sotters or Guave to try to rob one team over another. I don't think so. I do know that we need to continue to develop our referees. We need to continue to provide more and more opportunities for development and recruit younger referees and give them the opportunity to pursue a career in refereeing. Just today, St. Vincent has 2 matches against St. Kitts and BVI on the 25th and on the 28th. 29th. And St. Vincent called and asked if they can have McMahon and Bido referee the match, the two matches. And McMahon and Bido recently, as recent as about 5 months ago or 6 months ago, became an official FIFA referee. And now he's going to referee 2 international matches in St. Vincent. So there is a career for referees. However, if we continue to abuse them in Grenada, in our second division, in our first division, in our Premier League, we'll deter them from continuing on as referees, especially the younger ones, especially the ones who just come into the system a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, or last year. Please talk to your coaches. And a lot of times, that's where it starts, with the coaches. Because if we get the respect from the coaches, then the respect is going to come from the players. You cannot have a coach disrespecting a referee and expect your players to fall in line and respect the referee. It doesn't work like that. So please, going into this season, let us be understanding that these referees are actually doing us a favor. They're leaving their families on Saturdays and Sundays and coming to do a game in Grenville and in St. David and wherever else part of Grenada, they're doing games. Let us be a little bit more tolerant. Mistakes are going to happen. Your players make 100 mistakes on the field. You do not abuse them. A referee makes one mistake, and everybody wants to kill them. So the GFA is going to continue its support for clubs. And while we're going to distribute some funds here today and some equipment here today, we're going to go a step further to provide support through personnel to help you with the development or the continued development of your club. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have an individual sitting in office working with clubs to make sure that you can develop on your structure, that you can have proper procedures in place, and that they can help support you in terms of your reporting on the funds that we provided to you. While we're going to provide these funds, and while it sounds like a lot, we know what it takes to run a proper football club. So it's never sufficient. I'm urging you to still go out and try to sell your clubs to sponsors. Present an attractive proposal to sponsors so that they're going to buy into your plans, buy into what you're trying to achieve, and provide as much support as possible so that you can compete, so that you can be some sort of beacon of hope and a beacon of light for your community. When we provide these funds, it's important that you report timely, and you use the funds for what you'd have signed in your regulations. Because when you report to us, we have to report to FIFA. And when we submit your reports to FIFA, we have to show that it's in line with the arrangement we had with FIFA in terms of the general club support program. So please, let's try to get those reports in as early as possible. The last period, there are a few clubs who took a little bit longer than normal to submit, and as a result, the application for this new project was delayed and delayed and delayed. So we need to make sure that we report early so that going into next year, the next edition of the club support program can be done weeks before the season starts. The season starts next week. We expect it to be very competitive. A matter of fact, this year we provided for a preseason competition or tournament or however you may call it, so that clubs get an early start in terms of their preparation. The whole idea behind the preseason cup was to get clubs training early and playing early so that when the season starts, you'll have already had 2 or 3 weeks of football. What we've noticed over the years is that clubs wait until the weekend before the first game and then they start coming together. So the intention of the preseason cup is that clubs can at least start 2 or 3 weeks before preparing for the upcoming competition. And from all indication, the St. Mark St. John, the St. Patrick's, St. Andrew St. David, and St. George's, it seemed like clubs were actually preparing. I visited a few of the fields and I actually saw teams training weeks before, knowing the season was approaching. If this football is to rise, if this football is to improve, we must do this together. GFA cannot develop football on its own. The clubs, the communities, and nationally, we all must come together in order to improve the football. It's not an easy fix. Grenada is now somewhere about 174 in the world, out of 211. In 2011, Grenada was 88 in the world. But we've seen signs. We've been having discussions with a number of countries who are actually wanting to play us. No longer are we looking at Windward Islands and OECS and Caribbean. There are teams around the world that actually want to play us now. We're actually having meetings with teams that you only saw on TV before, and they actually want to play us. That means there are signs. Recently, we're talking to Albania about a match in October. We're talking to Latvia about a game in November. We're talking about Liechtenstein, a game in November. These are countries we only heard about. Now we actually can play them. We just came out and played one of the countries that are top 30, well, that was ranked 34 in the world. We went to Moscow and played against Russia, who's ranked 34 in the world, out of 211. A team that made it to the semifinal of the World Cup. A team that hosted the World Cup as recent as 2018. So there are signs. And what we saw was a group of local players playing against a best 11 Russia team and coming out of Moscow in the snow and in the cold, only 5-0. Zambia went in 4 days later with a proper Zambia national team from all the players playing abroad and got the same 5. And Cuba went there and got 8. So there are signs. Right now we're talking with a major player in the world football about a game in either October or November. We're actually having a conversation right now with Iran for a game in Iran somewhere in October or November. And there are many other teams in the conversation because we took a step to step out of our little box that we've been playing in. And now countries around the world are taking us seriously. But that's a senior national team. And senior national team doesn't give us an accurate measurement as to where we are in football. So going forward, we need to be able to have our younger teams participating at that level. So this year, we got invited to the African Schools Championship in Ghana. And we were scheduled to play in a tournament in Accra, Ghana, about 3 weeks ago. But unfortunately, we had to pull out because of the cost to get to Ghana. It was costing us $5,500 US per player or per person to get to Ghana, and we were supposed to travel with 25 people. Grenada would have been the first country outside of the African continent to play in the African Schools Championship. Our under-15 boys were going to play against the best players in Africa. And it was unfortunate that we couldn't raise the funds. We've written to government, we wrote to Corporate Grenada, and we did not get the support. And as a result, we had to withdraw from the competition. But we said to CAF that come next year, we will be participating in the African Schools Championship. Our under-15 boys will be participating in the African Schools Championship, wherever it is in Africa. And we're going to continue to provide a platform for our young players to perform outside of our regular Windward Islands, OECS, and Caribbean. By July, FIFA is going to send us what we call a talent coach. We're hoping that he's going to be here the first week of July. And that talent coach is going to train our best 12 to 16-year-olds every day of the year for the next 2 years. That would be our under-14 boys team, under-15, and under-17 team. And they're going to be trained with an expert coach from abroad. FIFA is going to pay for his salary, FIFA is going to pay for his accommodation, and he's going to sit in Grenada, and he's going to train our best 12 to 16-year-old every day of the year for the next 2 years. And with that sort of high-level training, that sort of everyday training, I'm convinced and I'm certain that our football is going to move from where we are by about 3 or 4 or 500%. I'm convinced that our young players would be playing 10 times better than they're playing right now. And while we're at it, we are also providing opportunities for our young players to improve as of right now. In the summer, in July, we have 3 players traveling to Germany for high-level training with one of the academies in Germany. They'll be there for 3 weeks. 3 of our under-17 players would be heading to Germany for training with one of the top academies in Germany. 2 years ago, Zaid Douglas went to that same academy. Zaid Douglas is 18 years old today. And he's returned, and today, Zaid Douglas is one of the best players on our senior national team at 18 years old. This year, we're going to be sending 3 more players. And we expect when they return, they're going to follow the same pathway as Zaid Douglas. We expect them to improve drastically. Zaid Douglas is an 18-year-old who's dominating the senior national team right now. He played against St. Vincent, and he played against Russia, and was outstanding at 18. So these 3 young players who will be part of our under-20 national team next year, they're going to get the same opportunity to train with the same academy in Germany and be there for 3 or 4 weeks between July and August. And then while we are at it, we continue to provide opportunities for even our senior national team players. As soon as this window is over in March, we're going to get Joshua Isaac to Houston Dynamo immediately after the 2 games in March 31st, May 31st, June 4th, June 9th. Right after that, Joshua is going to go to Houston Dynamo in the MLS for a training camp, well, to train with the club team there for at least 10 to 15 days or so. So we're going to continue to provide opportunities for our players. But we can only provide opportunities for players if you develop these players. You cannot wait for GFA to develop these players when they get to national team. These players are sitting right now within your clubs. at 10 and 12 and 14. They're sitting in your communities. You need to get them and develop them. I've said to individuals over and over and over, if Grenada can produce a Kirani James, if Grenada can produce an Anderson Peters, if Grenada can produce world-class track and field athletes, somewhere in Victoria, somewhere in Chantimel, somewhere in Concord or in Grand Roy or in Grenville, there is a kid who is Man United or Chelsea or Man City material sitting somewhere in Grenada, waiting to be identified, waiting to be nurtured, waiting to be managed, and waiting to be given the opportunity to play at that level. There's some kid somewhere in Grenada. You know, once upon a time, when we heard about the Olympics, we thought we would never, ever, ever get a medal. Once upon a time. And then Kirani came. And all of a sudden, every Olympics now we believe we can get a medal. 20 years ago, a medal was a dream in the Olympics. Everybody dreamt of maybe one day. Everybody would say not in their lifetime. I'm sure everyone sitting here thought in their lifetime they would never get a medal or a gold medal in the Olympic. Now, every Olympic, Grenada and Grenadians, wherever you are in the world, you believe you can get a medal. Everybody believes you can get a medal. Same with football. I've heard that we may never get a homegrown player playing at that level. Right across the street in Tobago, we found a kid named Dwight York, and he made it to be one of the greatest players that played in the English Premier League. If that's possible, somewhere in Cloger, somewhere in New Hampshire, somewhere in Tempe, somewhere sitting in Grenada, there is a kid or two or three or four sitting around, going to primary school and just waiting for that opportunity. They can only get to that level if you, the clubs, invest in identifying these young people and training them over a period of time so that they can become world-class footballers. And I'm challenging you, each one of you in here, take the chance, take the opportunity. Do not wait and wait for it to happen. You need to make it happen. Kirani James was not a mistake. He didn't just happen. Kirani James was training every day from the time he was 13 years old. There is a 13-year-old sitting somewhere in Grenada. Find him, find her, and give them the opportunity of training every day so that they will become the Kirani or Anderson in the near future. Today we have the Under-17 World Cup every year. So every year our 12, 13, 14, 15-year-olds have a chance to try to qualify to play in the World Cup every year. And if we ever get it right at 13, 14, 15, and we get a good Under-17 team and make a good run into possibly the last round of World Cup qualifying or even into the World Cup at Under-17, then we know that our future teams, our Under-20 and our senior national team, will be really good teams. We cannot expect good national senior teams unless we have good youth teams. It doesn't happen by magic. So we have to invest in our young people, and the investment must start within the communities, within the clubs. If you invest there, if you put effort there, if you put energy there, if we put funds in there, if you put opportunities in there, then we will have some success with this football. So I'm going to urge each and every one of you to play your part. We're going to do our part. We're going to provide the support. We're going to provide the equipment. We're going to provide some funds. But you need to do your part. Go out into your communities, find these kids, give them that opportunity, train them, manage them. And if we do that right, we're going to have world-class players in our youth national teams, in our senior national teams, and overall, we're going to have good football being played in Grenada. And opportunities for players to go abroad, for opportunities for kids to make a career out of sports and a career out of football. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Glean. Can we have a lusty round of applause? Thank you very much. The only thing that I would add to what Mr. Glean said, and I think that was an oversight, is the commercialization workshop. You want to speak to it, Mr. Glean?
Thank you. Quickly, because I won't take more of your time. As much as we provide in the support here, we still believe there's an opportunity for clubs to understand how sponsorship, how commercialization of your clubs work, so that you can be able to meet with sponsors and talk the talk. So we're going to have our workshop on the 28th of June, and we're going to have experts coming from the region and outside of the region. As a matter of fact, we have someone coming from UEFA to be part of a panel that will meet with you, the club presidents, to discuss how you approach sponsors about sponsorships, etc. We don't have a venue yet, but it's going to be 28th of June, it's a Saturday, and we're going to have experts from Jamaica, Trinidad, and as far as Germany, and possibly someone from CONCACAF from Miami, going to come in here and have a discussion with you on how to attract sponsors, how do you approach them, how the process is like, how you structure your letters, when you get into those meetings, how you have those conversations, what type of conversation you have, because we have to continue to develop you, the individuals, the owners and managers and executive members of the clubs. And if we develop you, then you can go out and be able to have those conversations with our sponsors. So June 28th, our commercialization and sponsorship workshop. We're going to send you the venues very soon, and you're going to be hearing from experts. You know, the person who does all the sponsorship for Jamaica national team, she's coming. We have someone, Nicholas Puran's manager, who gets all the sponsorship for Nicholas Puran, and a number of other athletes in Trinidad. He's coming. And then we have someone from Germany who works with UEFA in terms of sponsorship for Champions League, etc. They get all the funds in for, you know, Champions League is probably the biggest competition after the World Cup. And one of the main players behind getting all the commercial sponsorship for UEFA is going to come also to be part of the workshop. So these individuals are going to come in and literally have a conversation on how to get sponsorship and how to approach sponsors and how to speak with sponsors about partnering with you so that you can have whatever you need for your clubs. So June 28th, and we're going to provide more information shortly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Glean. Now that we covered all areas, we would now proceed to do the check distribution. I would re-invite Mr. Glean to assist with the presentation of the checks, and I would ask two directors, Mr. Randy Campbell and Mr. Ricky Aberdeen, to assist with the presentation of the equipment. We would start with Mr. Ricky Aberdeen, followed by Mr. Randy Campbell. Mr. Glean? Once you collect your check and the equipment, we would ask you to proceed to the back where Ms. Parks would have you sign the vouchers, which of course forms part of our reporting to FIFA. So please do not leave before signing the vouchers. Thank you. Bulldogs. Followed by Blue Stars. Then we would have Carenage FC. Carenage FC. Followed by Shantimel FC. Class Hub Roots, followed by Combined Northerners. Where all he went? Combined Northerners, followed by FC Camohon. Five Stars, followed by GBSS. Hampshire United, followed by Happy Hill FC. No, that game right here. Hard Rock Sports Club, followed by Honved. Hurricane SC, followed by Montgelou Sports Club. M&N Hardware Christian Strikers, followed by Monkridge Sports Club. North Star Sports Club, North Star Sports Club. Okay. They're moving too slow. We'll have to do that. Okay. So, So in the interest of time, we would do the check presentation and you would collect the equipments after. So you come, you collect your check, you return, and you get the equipments after. Police Sports Club, followed by Queen's Park Rangers FC. Saab Sports Club, followed by SAFL. Can we quiet down a little, please? The clubs are not hearing their names. St. David's FC, followed by St. John Sports. We'll chat after. We'll chat after. Sunsetters Sports Club, followed by Springs Sports Club. Sunjets United, followed by Tempe All Blacks. Springs. Willis Youth Football Club, followed by South Stars. And finally, Class Hub Roots. Ricky. Thank you. Ready? Thank you very much, everyone. We are now officially at the end of the presentation. We would like to thank every one of you for taking the time out to be at this very important event. Could I have your attention, please? Thank you very much. Thank you. We would like to thank each and every one of you for taking the opportunity to come out to the GFA to participate in this very important event. Just to reiterate, as Mr. Glean said, the GFA is giving the clubs all the tools that are necessary to ensure that you develop. The onus now is on you to go back to your clubs, ensure that the money that you receive as part of the first phase is invested back into the club. You ensure that you have all that you need to participate in the respective competitions. You take responsibility, you be accountable, you be respectful and of course respectable, and you ensure that this season moving forward is one that we could look back and be very proud of. Remember, most importantly, your reporting. That posed a big challenge for us in reporting to FIFA to ensure that we were able to get to this point. We are here and we're grateful, but we could have been at this point much earlier, so you would have been able to prepare earlier. With that being said, we expect you to abide by the regulations and the agreement that you signed on to. You know the reporting period. From the GFA's point of view, we would still remind you, and when we call upon you to meet the deadline, we expect cooperation, we expect timely submission, and we expect that to get phase 2, it would be a smooth sailing, right? No, I don't like that. No, right? Exactly. So thank you again. Get home safely, and all the best in this season. Thank you.